Gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and much appreciated you guys checking today's video out. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about fishing off the bank fishing, give you guys some tips and advice on basically how to improve your success off the bank, because I think a lot of people, you know, when we do these videos, we sort of think that a lot of people, or just assume a lot of people have boats. There's a ton of guys that just fish off the bank, so that's how I got started. So I got some pretty good insight to that. So we're going to get into that. So real quick, guys, I want to remind you guys about, you may have seen this on the other channel, my Solar Bat series, the RB2 series sunglasses. Today's the last day of the sale for them. If you guys are interested in getting a pair, 25% off. You know, sale goes off today, and if you buy a pair, you get a promo code to get 50% off of anything on the Solar Bat website. So I'll put that link in the description if you guys are interested in that. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. That's where I started fishing, is on the bank. You know, back when I first started fishing, I was a teenager. You know, I didn't have a boat, so I snuck in farm ponds. I waded farm ponds. You know, if I was at the lake, I had to walk the bank because my mom and dad, they had like a sort of a pontoon boat. We couldn't fish out of it. So every time that they would beach the boat, I'd go walking off down the bank trying to catch fish, and wading creeks and all that type of stuff. So it's a little bit different approach, because instead of throwing into the bank and reeling out, and when you're bank fishing, you're throwing out and reeling in, or throwing parallel. So that's sort of about all you have to work with. So I want to give you guys some tips and advice on, you know, how to catch the most fish with it. First of all, most of the fish you're going to catch on the bank, as far as, you know, the majority of them is going to be if you can cast parallel to the bank or at a 45 degree angle out of the bank. I mean, some of the areas, if you got some places that are real shallow, you might be able to cast straight out in the middle. Say, for example, if you're fishing a pond that's got some shallow lily pads or grass way out off, you might be able to cast them. But if you're fishing the bank, like on a lake, or most bodies of water where there's not a lot of structure off the bank, you're going to catch most of your fish closer to the bank. So one of the things that I would suggest is walking close along the bank and just trying to cast parallel to the bank as much as you can, trying to bring that lure in that anywhere between that 2 to 5 foot zone, depending upon the water clarity, obviously. And sometimes you can cast at a 45 degree angle and out. Casting angle is really critical with that. If you got a place or lake that doesn't have much cover out in the middle of it, you're going to catch a lot more fish doing that. So it's all relative to how the lake is set up. The next thing you need to remember, there's going to be some high percentage areas. Now, if you're fishing a farm pond or something like that, or a body of water that you can walk completely way around, this doesn't really apply to it, because you can cover everything. But let's say, for example, that you don't have a boat and you have a lake that, you know, a fairly good sized lake that you fish. There's going to be some areas that actually are more productive than others on those particular lakes. Now, for the most part, you're going to be dealing with like points. Secondary and main lake points are really good areas. Those are going to be, you know, top places you can catch fish on. Those are natural magnets for the fish. So get out on those points and fan cast in and around the point ends and sides. That's going to be a good way to catch them. Some of the other places are on steeper banks. If you can get like on bluffy or steeper type banks, this is a really good way to catch them. One of the ways I used to catch them off the bank, fishing like Table Rock Lake in Missouri, there's a lot of bluffy banks there. So I would try to carefully walk. I don't mean like vertical cliffs. I'm talking about, you know, big rock that's really steep. I try to get out on those bluffs because the water was real deep next to those bluffs, and the fish lived close to those banks. So I caught a lot of fish parallel on those bluffy type banks, on those type of areas. Another good type of area is fishing the back end of coves. Usually if you go to the back end of coves, there's always some fish back there. A lot of perch back in there, a lot of bass, you know, catfish, perch, crappie, whatever. So try to go into the back of the coves and walk around those back ends, and you can cast to the bank and you can cast out in the middle there a little bit easier, because this is a little bit shallower. So as far as lures go, one of my favorites for bank fishing is fishing low light conditions with a topwater. You can take like a buzzbait or a popper or a walking topwater, and you can parallel those banks. This is probably the best way to catch fish off the banks, is go to early or late in the morning. Try to get out there while there's still shade on the bank, because that's going to be the times that those fish are the shallowest. So you're going to catch more fish off the bank by far going early and late in the day, or maybe on cloudy or rainy days. Really good areas for that. So top waters are good, shallow running crankbaits, soft plastic stick baits like a Zinky or Cinco, Texas rig worms are really good. Those are some of the top lures that you're going to have for that. But the main thing, like I said, guys, it's all about casting angle, taking advantage of what you have, and you can still have some good days off the bank. I mean, I've caught some big fish just fishing off the bank before. So anyway, I hope it helps out. We'll talk later. See you.